morning, Sunday morning today, and I've just popped down to lift this garlic. Now we'd had some quite heavy rain in the night, so it's a little bit sticky, but I'm sure we'll get it out all right. Now I should just lift a couple to be with you, and then I'll get them all lifted. Quite nice plants. And so you can see it was raining last night. Look, they're a bit sticky, but we'll dry them out and then brush them off. Just take as much soil as I can off. We'll take that other one and then we'll lift them off. I don't want to be too heavy-handed lifting because of the tomato plants. These are a bit close. So I might just pull them out rather than turn the soil. You can see how wet it was. There you go. Now there's two, bit on the dirty side, but that's fine, that'll brush off when it's dry. I'll lift the rest and then put them on the rack to dry. Now these are called Marco. They seem to do quite well on this heavy land. There you are then, that's the garlic harvest for this year. They all need drying out, they're a bit moist, but they'll soon dry out. I'm keeping them on these crates because the looks of the clouds that are coming over the top, I might have to just grab them and pop them in the shed. But they will finish up on the drying rack. Good morning and hello everyone, and welcome to another week in our garden. Rather wet week this week. Rain most days, but I don't mind. It was nice to have the rain. The only thing is we can't get out and get the harvesting done. Now it's a bit windy today, so if you pick up a little bit of wind noise on the camera, I do apologise. We're going to start this week by summer pruning the apple tree, and you can also summer prune all your stone fruits. Now I can't actually prune my plum and cherry because we're having this rain, and you never prune the stone fruits when there's a likelihood of rain, because if you do, the silver leaf infestation is actually in the rain, so it will enter the cuts on that you've made on the stems and you'll get silver leaf. So we'll leave that until we know we've got a few days of good dry weather, and then we'll prune the stone fruit. But in the meantime, we'll prune the apple tree. As you can see, it's put on a lot of growth. That's with it being a wet season, it really has pushed on a lot of growth. If I leave it, then next year's fruit will be out of reach. So my idea is that I prune it in the summer, and then next year it's like it is this year, all the fruit I can harvest without getting ladders etc. out. Right, what I do, you can see all the new growth from this year starts there. Can you see that? That little cut there is where we pruned it to last year, so all this growth is new growth. Now these behind will make fruiting buds for next year. So if we just go like we did last time, if we just go just above and take it off, likewise with this one, and then what you'll get then is fruiting spurs develop here. Then next year, like we got there, you'll have fruit on those branches up to there. Same again, if you look back down, follow it down, there's all the new growth. That's quite a bit on there. That's 18-inch of new growth. There's last year's cut. So I just go above that and just take them off. There's a side branch here, look, that if you leave this on, all the energy will go into this branch and it will carry on growing. So you just take them off. Once you actually got your eye in, it doesn't take long at all. So I'll do a few. Here's a good example, look, from last year's. There's last year's cut off there, and that's all this year's growth. So if I take that off, say 2 nodes, and take that off, then we'll know we'll get fruit buds at the back of that and fruit spares, and that'll bear next year's fruit. Likewise again, look, if you don't take this off, all the energy will just come up this one. So we'll just snip that one off. There you are. Right, I'll get on with the pruning. Obviously when you're doing the top, you have to use the long handled pruners, so you can't be quite as accurate up there with the long handle. But once you've done a few, you'll soon be able to do them and whip them off quite quick. Okay, I just use the long handle pruner and hook it round just above a node and just take them off, just above the where I cut them last year, if I can see. Quite a bit of wind up there, we'll have to wait for the wind to stop blowing. There you go, about that. I'll now finish the tree in between gusts of wind, and then I'll come back to you when it's done. That's the apple tree summer pruned. The fruit's doing well, the leaves are nice and clean, so the grease bands have done their job very well this year. Look at that, look, there's not a blemish on them. We haven't had a lot of the June drop this year. I've been keeping my eye out to see how many we're going to lose. Now if the crop gets too heavy and it starts looking like it's going to break branches, I will take some of the fruit off just to lighten the load a little bit to keep the branches nice and springy. Now we'll nip up to the fruit cage, and we need to finish picking the early raspberries and cut those canes off. Now we've come into the fruit cage and we've picked what raspberries were left on. Now these are floricanes. That means that they'll grow up this year, and the canes that grow up this year will fruit next year. The ones over the other side, we'll talk about those later. Now your floricanes, once you've picked out, which we have done now, I've cut the string that was holding them onto the wires. Now we removed this year's cane that's fruited right down at the bottom, like that. And then the best way I find is you keep cutting them until you get them all off. And then these obviously won't burning or taken to the tip. Quite a job, but they've produced very well this year. I'm quite pleased with them. We'll take these off here and then I'll show you the new cane. A bit of string there, you can take that on that one. So that is the new cane. Some old canes here we'll take off as well. There's its name tag, Malin Juno. We only bought 6, so we've done very well. I'll just hang this back on the wire. Okay. What we're left with, apart from a few weeds that want taking out, always weed it when you can. These are next year's fruiting canes. They grow up this year, so we need to tie those in. I'll tie them in when I've finished. I come along, tie those in, and then I'll put a good mulch around the bottom. try not to disturb the soil too much because they're only very shallow rooted and you could do damage to them. Obviously if we're going to put mulch on, we'll wait till we've had a good rainstorm and then just pop it on. But I've got some well rotted compost waiting that will make a nice mulch for it. Right, so I'll take the rest of these old canes off that are fruited and then I'll come back and show you what's left. Now I've taken all the old canes out. There's a few of the new canes up. I'm sure there'll be more to come up. What I do is I take a length of string and then I backwards and forwards around the wire and the cane just to hold them in place. Not too tight, but just enough to grip them in. If you just keep putting a twist on it as well, it just holds them in. And you can do one side then the other, you see. It's a bit fiddly to start with, but you soon get going. Just pull them in. They're quite flexible at this stage. When they get a bit older they get quite brittle, so you have to be careful. Just keep pushing it through, wrapping it round and put a little tie in it now and again just to check things like that, you see. That'll just keep things tidy while we move on. And then pull the canes up. That one's not quite ready, so we'll take this one. If you want to fill the space, just go round and round a few times, look. And then we can take that one in. It's quite a strong cane, that one. Remember, these are only in the second year, so give them another year and they'll be quite big. Be quite a few to put in then. Just like that, look. Just keep going. It's a little bit more difficult in the wind, but you can do it. Just put a tie in where you want to hold it, like. And then we can pick those two up. We'll pick one on one, look. Why not? And then another one. And then just tie off at the end. And then cut your loose end off. That's it, that'll hold those nicely. This one I'll just put another tie into it. Just hold it steady, it's quite a big cane. Now during the rest of the summer a lot of these canes will go right up past this top rail, so what you do towards winter, you tie them all down at an angle so they're not blown about through the winter, and next spring release them and just cut tops off, and then they'll branch and give you more fruit. There you are then, that'll do for now. That's what you do with your floricanes. Remember, these are the ones that grow up this year and bear fruit on these canes next year. Okay, so we'll tie them in as they grow. We'll put a nice mulch around them. After it's rained, make sure it's had a good wetting first, and tie them up until they get to the top. Tie them over in the autumn, stop them snapping off, and that's all you have to do to these. Now we've just got a few white currants and some peas to pick, so we'll get on with those hopefully before it rains. Now at the top of the cage here we've got the white currants that are actually pink, but I always think they look like little pearls. As you can see, there's plenty on them, plenty there for picking. Right, so I'll just pick them. When you are picking them, just be careful you don't break the stem at the base, because that bears next year's fruit, so you just have to be careful. Just snap that little bunch of fruit off, if I can get hold of one to show you. Like that, look. Try not to damage this little bit here. You soon get the hang of it when you've done a few hundred. It's quite quick once you get going. Lovely berries though, I do like white currants. Make lovely winter puddings. So I'll pick some into this basket and then I'll come back to you. A nice basket of white currants that look like little pearls. As you can see, the gooseberries are very ready, and we've got Gemma coming tomorrow, so she'll help pick some. Plenty of red currants and black currants still to pick, so Gemma will be busy tomorrow. Now we're going to pop down to plot A and have a look at those peas. Down at the peas, I'm just going to pick one and see if they are quite ready. We don't really know until we start opening them. Let's have a look in this one. Yes, I do believe they're ready. These are Alderman. They've had quite a rough time because we've had a lot of mole trouble along the row. One or two further down we've actually lost the plants because they've dried out from below. So we're going to pick a boiling, I think, just for now. Right, I'll just pick a few, you just snap them off. Try to get the big fat ones like this, then you know that there's some peas in them. Okay. Alright, so these are the sort of thing we're after. Nice full pods. So we'll pick some into the basket and then come back to you. Now we've picked a basket full of peas for now. And as you can see, there's still loads we could pick. But then it's there's always tomorrow when we got another pair of hands that help. As you can see, I've also put some little gems in here as well. They're struggling a little bit. It's not because of the light levels or the amount of water, it's the moles that keep going under them and pushing them out the ground. We're going to have to do something about these moles next year. It's a mole year. There you are then. We've some pruned the apples. We've took out the used raspberry canes and we've tied in the new ones for next year. Over the other side of the fruit cage we've got the later ones still to come, but that'll be another month or so yet. Now we have done a little bit of harvesting. As you can see, we've got some beautiful white currants. Some nice peas. They're doing very well. They're slightly early this year, but they're very, very full. Probably this wet weather we've had. That's the last of the early raspberries, and what we've done, we've added a few red currants to it because we like these with our cereals in the mornings. Now that'll be about it for this week, but before I go, I'd just like to tell you that I shall be going in for my knee operation next Wednesday. I've offered a cancellation and I've taken it, and it's brought it forward quite a bit. So it might be a little time before I see you again. But until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I do appreciate it. Take care everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.